We're here to talk about Ione, California real estate and California real estate in general, and just hit some of the highlights and some points that are important to buyers and sellers across the market. We're going to talk about insider experiences, some warnings, and some transformations that we're having in the market. Right now, we're seeing a little bit of flex on the Great California migration. So back during COVID, we saw lots and lots of people leaving California for states that they felt were a little freer with the COVID restrictions, maybe had some amazing national parks or opportunities for them to be away from the home since they were now able to work remote. But now we're starting to see people returning to California, and that's for several reasons. Some of our corporate operations in the state of California have asked people to return. They've asked them to return to the office and be present and participate within the state. Others just miss family that's in California. They miss the Golden State. They miss the skiing and the mountains. They miss the oceans. They miss all the opportunities that there is in California. So they're not ready to totally admit they made a mistake, but we are definitely starting to see a migration back into California. It's not substantial like the hundreds of thousands of people we saw leave between 2020 and 2023, but we're starting to see some return to the Golden State. There's some affordability changes in California. Today is a great time to purchase a home. You're starting to get some seller kickbacks. We're starting to see a little more negotiations. That's not in every area, but we definitely are starting to see a little more opportunity for buyers. So it's still a decent market for sellers, but it definitely wasn't the market that it was in 2020 to 2022. Since I am an Ione, California real estate agent, we're going to talk a little bit about the difference between rural and city living and just the experiences that you have. We're going to talk about wildfire and insurance issues, buyer psychology, and behind the scenes of a real estate experience. So we're just going to go through it here and chat for a little bit. It's just you and me, and we've talked about why so many Californians left, and a few of them are about to continue to leave, and we will see that as people want to progress in other directions in life, and especially as we see some of these great corporations leave for tax purposes. So the cost of living definitely is an issue with California at all times. However, in Ione, California, we are one of the most affordable cities within one of the most affordable counties in California, with the average house price hovering right in the mid $500,000 range, where in California it's hovering right around the mid $700,000 range. So it's a great place to be, and we're still seeing some that do have remote work. So we'll see people leave for both tax reasons and the opportunity to work remote if their businesses are allowing them to do that. Some of them just want a quality of life change, and the states I'm seeing people move to are Utah, Idaho, Texas, Florida, and Tennessee. Without a doubt, we're still seeing a lot migrate to Tennessee. So I recently had a Bay Area family come out to Ione area. They wanted to purchase some acreage, and they feel freer than ever. They're loving having the opportunity to have their children run free on acreage and land and enjoy not feeling like they've got to hover right over their children, feeling like they're in a safe area, their land is theirs, their children can run about and play, and there needs to be a purpose if someone's on their property. So, that's some of the, as we see the migration out of the state, we are also seeing a migration from the Bay Area to Ione, California, and Amador County, California. So some great opportunities there. Okay, I said I was going to give you an insider point of view. We're going to talk about a couple of situations I have with some insider point of view. I had a home in Lake Comanche area, and it had a great view of the lake. Beautiful home, priced excellent for the square footage, had just had new flooring laid and been painted. Just a fabulous home in great shape. And while we were in escrow, we found out that the home was a modular home. And I'm pretty good at this. I see a lot of houses, but this one was done so well. They had added a garage, put the siding in such a way that caused a problem. And then as we went through title, we found out that the previous sellers did not use a real estate agent and did not use a title company, and they passed title by attorney to attorney to attorney for the last 4 transactions. So we had a mess on our hands because this was a mobile home. It did not go through our typical title process. It went through an HCH process, which is similar to working with a DMV, but for homes that were at one time had an axle underneath them. So, and then in discovering the title process, we found out that they did transfer it on the county property tax records, but never transferred it discovered through the records that we use for modular homes. So several sellers back had not signed off on the proper signing for that portion of the home. And we had to go back and find those sellers. So unfortunately, our buyer could not hang on. Our buyer was ready to move and get into a new home and decided to move on and buy something else. They couldn't hang with us. And they were pretty patient. They waited for a long time because they really wanted this home, but we had to go back and find all the people through the chain of title to get this signed off. Unfortunately, our seller ended up going through an attorney. The trickiest one was a previous business partner that he had now had a falling out with, and that caused some problems for him, and he had to go through an attorney and get forced signatures. So just some of the struggles and trials we see in the real estate business, and that can happen, that can be a surprise to you in the process. Another one, which is, it was a hidden little journey in some inspections, but it ended up being great for our buyer. So our buyers recently purchased, and this particular one, I had worked with Tracy Peterson on, and she worked really closely with me. A seller had sold the home and then purchased a home. He was moving from Sacramento. He and his wife and son moved from Sacramento, sold their home in Sacramento, and then moved to our area here in Amador County. And in the process, they wanted an absurd amount of inspections. So customary for the area is to do a roof inspection, a home inspection, a pest inspection. That pretty much has you covered. And they wanted an HVAC inspection. They wanted a sewer line inspection, mold inspection. I mean, it just seemed like the inspections went on. And this isn't a 2-year home. So that was just an interesting situation. It felt like, this is overkill. This is ridiculous. But of course, we want to do what's best for our clients. And if there's a doubt, let's go for it. It also happened to be in the neighborhood that I live in. And so that made it challenging too, because I'm like, this is a great builder. He works with everything. There's a great warranty on the home. You're golden. You're in good shape. But they wanted to have the inspections anyway. And of course, we always recommend do all the inspections you can possibly afford if that's something you want to do, because inspections are so important in making sure the home is the quality of home that you expect and that you want. So in the process, kind of crazy, this 2-year-old home needed a condenser on the air conditioning unit. So that needed to be done. It had a hole in the paper under the tiles in the roof. So there was a leak in the roof. And this is the one that shocked me the most. The sewer line was clogged. I would have never imagined that a 2-year-old home had a sewer line clogged. So all of these items had to be negotiated and taken care of. And the victory is we got it all taken care of for our client. The sellers were able to move on to their new home in their new area, and our client was able to move into their home, and every major concern was addressed, taken care of, and it turned out to be an excellent situation. What the big surprise here for me is that I just never, if I was buying that home myself, I would not have done those inspections. With all the experience I have, I would not have done those inspections. And the reason why is I would assume the home's brand new. I've got people that live in the neighborhood that are trustworthy, that love their home, feel the builder's great, and it's just not something I would have done. So kudos to my clients for getting that taken care of, and then little pat on the back to myself and Tracy Peterson for working super hard right to the end to make sure our clients had a home that was in excellent conditions for them. So those are just some of the strained situations. Now, in these situations, it can be incredibly emotional, and sometimes people don't show up as their best self, but as an agent, it's our responsibility to do our very best to be there, be supportive, and show up as our best self, because we understand it's stressful for them. It's also extremely stressful on us. We want to do the best we can for our clients. We want to serve them in an absolutely top-notch manner and take care of them. And so it can be extremely emotional. Sometimes I don't feel like I'm much of a realtor, and I feel like I'm more of a psychologist or a therapist, and I need a lot more training in that area. But it looks like I'm getting some opportunities to learn. So what $500,000 buys different in California? So in Ione, $500,000 can get you roughly a 1,700 to 1,900 square foot home, and we're talking on the north end of 500,000 in some of these aspects. But if you get an older home that could use a little upgrading, you definitely can get one for 500,000. 3 bedrooms, sometimes a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, finished yard in a beautiful established neighborhood. And then in Sacramento, 500,000 is probably looking at getting you a condo, and that's just reality. Or maybe a home in a neighborhood that might have some school schools that are undervalued, or even some neighborhoods that safety might be a concern. So that's what you're looking at. In the Bay Area, I just don't know what there is. You might get a mobile home. You might get a mobile home in a mobile home park in the Bay Area. In the foothills, well, that's Ione, California, and we're unique because we're one of the more affordable foothill communities. El Dorado Hills, California, is probably one of the more expensive communities in the Sacramento area, and $500,000 again is probably, you might be able to find a condo on the north end of $500,000. So Southern California, again, we're going down not just to a mobile home, but a mobile home in a rough condition unless we find rougher neighborhoods. So just to give you an idea what $500,000 purchases for in the state of California, and maybe some areas that you might be interested in looking in. If you want to be in that high-end area, the Bay Area, Southern California might be it for you. We definitely have high-end areas in the Sacramento Valley and around our area. We even have some super nice high-end homes in Ione, California. I've got 2 of those on the market right now that are just excellent homes that run north of $1 million and north of $2 million and close to $2.5 million. So we actually have a home in Ione, California that's pending at $5.1 million. So just to give you an idea where you're at, but I would say your average price range is going to be your mid 500s. So we're going to go to the cold, hard, honest truth about living in a rural community such as Ione, California, Amador County, the foothill communities, El Dorado, Folsom. You go down to Sonora, further north to the beautiful communities in Green Valley area and Placerville and those kind of things. So sorry I lost the name that I was looking for. Nevada City, it just came to mind. So anyway, these foothill communities, the reality of living in small towns, in some of them, you're going to have quite a drive to Costco. You're going to have quite a drive to the big box stores where you're going to buy bulk items. But we've got gas stations, 5 to 10 minutes away, depending on what parts of the communities you choose. We have lots of our smaller grocery stores, and then maybe 20 minutes to a Walmart. So that just kind of gives you an idea for some of those. Now, if you're getting out to the Sonora area, your drive's going to be substantially longer, although we've got some great places to eat, little niche restaurants and delis that are just fantastic in these foothill communities. It's super nice because we don't get a lot of traffic noise. Neighbors are friendly. Depending on which way you want to vote, it could be good or bad, but I would say that it tends to run a little more conservative than living in the city or in the heart of Sacramento. So that's a difference that you may need to adjust to. I've definitely had some clients say that it took an adjustment, and some people move out there for exactly that reason. So we don't have the traffic noise, but it is a longer drive, a little more of a commute. Need to get used to the person at your favorite coffee shop learning your name and getting to know you. And then you also need to get used to that not all of these communities are walkable. Like maybe a walkability score of 1, 3 at the best. So get in your car and drive and be grateful for it. The great news about it is that no matter which direction you drive, it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Wintertime, it's green rolling hills, and right now we're starting to get the golden popping out with the contrast of the green oaks. So absolutely beautiful. It's so slower paced life. There's a great sense of community, but you have a lack of shopping and definitely a lack of nightlife. So that's just part of it, and that's personally my love part of it, but that doesn't work for everybody. I've had one client move from Ione to Sacramento because he was like, you know what, I just went through a divorce and I need to meet people. I need to find a place where there's some dancing and some music and some nightlife going on. And not to say we don't have that in Ione, California, but it's more of a novelty thing. It's more at homecoming days or when there's a parade or just a special event going on in town that we see more nightlife. So there's some of the pros and cons. Let's chat about the wildfire concerns. So we definitely have an issue with wildfires in Amador County and the surrounding counties. Calaveras County, as we go north, Placer and El Dorado County, there's some issues that we're seeing with our insurance costs because we run the risk of wildfires. Ione is probably one of the few communities where the majority of the homes do not have to have CAL FIRE insurance. What is CAL FIRE insurance? CAL FIRE insurance is a supplemental insurance that just covers your fire insurance when you're in an area where your regular insurance company is not including fire coverage in the policy. So if you got more questions about that, I would love to help you out with and explain to you. Just reach out to me. Land ownership. There's some responsibilities with land ownership, and especially in the fire areas, you need to make sure your grass is mowed down or you've got livestock to graze it if you're going to live in a more rural area. Now, if you live on the golf course, you're fine. You're kind of golden. I'm sure you're taking care of your yard or have someone to take care of it for you. Also, the wildflower community, you're just fine. they are not in the FEMA wildfire areas at all. And there's no worry about keeping your grass down. You just do your regular lawn maintenance. So why do some people love it? Some people absolutely love the sense of community. Some people love the beauty of the drive, the quiet, the safety, the knowing that your children can walk to the grocery store at a reasonable age and they're safe. And that for most part, all the kids in the community are good. That's for them to be around and hang out with. The schools have higher moral values than I've seen in some of the inner city schools. And it's just because it's just the influence of the population. And for the most part, I see that's why people love it. Let's see, why are buyers scared right now? Well, let's talk about interest rates. I mean, that's the number one thing. The concern is if I purchase a home at a 6.5% interest rate, what's going to happen? It's going to be more expensive. I'm going to get less home. On the high side, if you purchase a home that you can afford at a 6.5% interest rate, in a couple years when you refinance, you're going to be giving yourself a raise. So that's great. Affordability is a little down right now across the state. And I would say that's just because I think people held out thinking as interest rates are higher, home prices are going to drop, and they're just not. They've stayed pretty steady. We've seen a little price reduction. We see more seller concessions to the buyer, but homes are staying strong and real estate continues to be a great investment. There's always the economic fears during wartime, and so that can keep buyers on the fence a little bit and not quite ready to jump in the pool. So some economic fears, and then insurance. People are unaware that Ione, California in town does not need CAL FIRE insurance, and the insurance rates are super affordable. So sometimes they get scared off by the insurance situations. And the media headlines. I'm just going to tell you right now, I read so much of the media that's just absolutely ridiculous and not what's going on in real estate right now, but it makes a great headline and you want to click on it. And it's just not true. So do your research and definitely chat with a local agent and get a vibe for the area. Now let's see what sellers need to hear about in today's market. So the reality is overpriced homes are sitting. If you're going to overprice your home, it's going to sit. Homes are taking longer to sell. We're seeing an average of around 77 days as of today, but for months it's been between 90 to 120 days. So just buckle up and be ready to wait. If you want your home to sell, price it aggressively, have it clean, polished, ready to be shown. Staging is a huge help, or talk to your realtor about doing virtual staging. It's not my favorite. I mean, I definitely prefer to have a home staged so that it has the same feel when you walk into it as when people saw it online, but it's definitely a good option. So presentation of a home is huge. And then the pricing philosophy, make sure you've got a game plan with your realtor. If we price it at this and it doesn't sell right away, when are we going to mark it down? What's the plan? Or, you know what, I just want to get it sold. I want to get it sold within 2 weeks. Where do I need to have it priced at? And at 2 weeks, people need to be able to see that it is a bargain. So the market changed, but sellers haven't. And that's something as realtors we need to do to educate them. The most emotional home sale I've ever been a part of. This is a great one because it's had to do with the cute little family that was in the process of buying a home and found out that there was a previous double murder suicide that took place in the home, and just going through the process when they found a home that they loved and were excited to see and move their family into it was super, super difficult. So that was a super difficult decision to have them move into that home, but they did decide to move in. They've had no issues. They absolutely love the home and it's been a wonderful place for their family. But just watching them go through that decision-making process was really difficult because I hadn't experienced that before and I didn't know how to reach out to them and support them in the best way possible. So I think it wasn't just difficult for them, it was difficult for me. And I try to stay pretty solid and consistent as we go through the process, lay out the facts and help you through it, guide you through the decision-making process and what's best for you and what's not. And in that situation, I just didn't know. And I had to allow my client to take the lead. See, elderly sellers, we are definitely seeing some elderly sellers in the state of California right now. Where baby boomer era is starting to age out of their homes and go to assisted living, moving in with families, choosing smaller homes where it's not as many steps from the bedroom to the kitchen. And so that's definitely some things that we're seeing in the market. We're seeing inherited homes and dealing with some relocation stress. People stressing as they move from one area to another, and that's just the nature of the industry, but those are things we definitely need to consider. And then we are seeing more dream homes on the market in Ione, California than I've ever seen at one time before. So if you're in the market for a dream home, this is your time. Get in the game and purchase a dream home because it's just a great opportunity. There's lots out there to look at and you've got choices. And by lots, probably 3 to 5, but you have choices for the first time ever. So buyers Buyers falling in love with homes too fast. We see that. When you look at a home, try to look at it as logical as possible. I want you to absolutely love your home, but I also want you to understand that if inspections don't turn out the way we want them and we can't negotiate the repairs and it just doesn't seem reasonable, I don't want your heart broke. So that's super important. There are some hidden ownership costs in owning a home, and it's just the repairs. You're not going to call your landlord up to change the light bulb or fix the toilet. Got some repairs now and then, and that's the cost of home ownership. But you know what? There's even the cost of home ownership when moving, and you take some risk. There's some risk that you have to take out when you own a home and you're gaining equity in a home, whether it's deciding to purchase before I've sold my home or waiting until your home has contract on it and then starting to look at homes and maybe not having quite the options that you had hoped. So definitely some ownership costs. There's negotiations that can go bad, and that's why it's super important to have a realtor that not only is strong and has a strong fiduciary duty and sense of duty for their client, but also has great relationships with everybody else in the real estate community, including the title companies, other realtors. It's just super important. We've got some misconceptions on commission that are super important to talk about, and a lot of people have thought because of the NAR, the National Association of Realtors lawsuit that took place a little over a year ago, that they no longer have to pay a buyer's agent commission. And while that is true legally, there's a high probability that you're going to want to pay a buyer's agent commission because there's a good chance that the buyer is not going to be willing to look at your home if you're not willing to cover their agent's expense. So just some misconceptions in commission, social media versus reality. We hear the gloom and doom to the market's great, and it's hyper local that we see a difference in the market. So check out the market update with your favorite realtor, and I hope it's me, but check it out, whoever it is, and make sure that you're getting the correct information and not just what's a headline clicker in social media. So again, and we've talked about since 2020, we've seen a migration shift. We've seen remote workers returning back to work. We've seen a little bit of shift in affordability due to rates. We talked a little bit about what politics and headlines have done to the market, rural growth, lifestyle priorities, and what both locals and relocation people can consider and what to expect. I'm Tammy Goolsby. I'm the lead for Team Goolsby Real Estate. I work with Tracy Peterson and Philip Goolsby very closely, and I would love to help you with your next home sell, your next purchase, or if a member of my team works better for you, that's awesome. We're here to help you and support you in every way we can, and you can reach out to me at 209-332-0118 or tammy.goolsby@cbnorcal.com, and our website is teamgoolsbyrealestate.com. I'm excited to hear from you. If you've got questions, concerns, just want to know anything, leave a comment, DM me. Whatever's your way to communicate, let me know. If you're ready to list your home or want to take a look at a few, please reach out. I'm here to help. It's Team Goolsby Real Estate in Ione, California, and we cover Amador County and all over the Sacramento Valley. I hope to talk to you soon.